Welcome everyone to today's presentation on Tiny Clicks, Big Risk. We are very excited to host today's webinar on kids and family online safety. Today is going to be a guide for protecting kids, families, and your data in this always connected world that we live in. Just for info, I am Yasini said, I'm the executive director and founder of the Lioness Instincts. I've also worked at major organizations, tech companies as a security professional for the last 12 plus years, and do a lot of work with the AI security and safety space. In today's webinar, we're going to go over welcome. So we're going to tell you a little bit about the Lioness Instincts, our organization, and then dive into the digital family reality. Talk about real stories, real risks, things that we've seen happen, and then go into what used to be the daily message parents give to kids, at least for me growing up, to what we're really seeing nowadays. And then we're going to talk about how to determine your family's threat level, ways to protect your kids and build safer habits. We're going to go into some policies and global efforts that are underway, and then we'll move into a Q&A and takeaways from there. So a little bit about the organization. We are the Lioness Instincts. We were physically sponsored by the Hot Club Bank back in 2024 for 501c3 nonprofit status. And our goal is to empower women to protect themselves in our physical and digital worlds. We are on a mission to arm 1 million women with the physical and digital tools to fight back, stay safe, and lead confidently. We use the principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and cybersecurity, in which we enlighten the hunters and all of us engage in threat risk assessment with mitigation tactics. You can find us on social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can check out our website or email, and we're also on YouTube, where this gets uploaded by the end of the week. For the month of October, we're celebrating and bringing educational awareness to cybersecurity and domestic violence. You can find information on our social media, Instagram and LinkedIn. Last week, we had a webinar that's posted on our YouTube channel about using Tor and how to surf web safely. This week, we're talking about kids and family. And next week, we have a holiday survival scam. So we're talking about the latest and greatest scams that are coming out there for the holidays. And to support domestic violence for the month of October, we are wearing purple in solidarity. For those that are interested in more information than what is provided here, we have online safety resources from tips and tricks on travel safety, looking at hotels, Airbnb, or just traveling international, ways to protect your privacy on social media, online dating, that's its own avenue, business and online privacy for our entrepreneurs, and a lot more resources than can be provided today on keeping kids safe. And for anybody interested, we are seeking volunteers to help expand our impact. We don't expect you to be an expert, we just need enthusiasm. We have opportunities such as data privacy analysts, help us grow our digital privacy program, social media, community manager, program managers, and for those around the US or in the world, we are looking to create a global network to connect women to experts around the world. Since we can't be everywhere at once, we would like to connect our members to self-defense instructors throughout the world. And then different ways to get in touch with us. As mentioned, we're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can check out our website, in which it has the event calendars, shop and help support via shopping or donation, and join our mailing list. And if you have any questions, we'll share the Discord group, but you can always email us at info@thelionessinstinct.com. All right, cool. Let's get into today's topic. Digital safety for our families. So parenting today has a whole nother realm than what we anticipated over these worlds. Like it used to be, get home before it gets dark, don't talk to strangers. But now we we're in this place where there are other threats and risks that you aren't considering. Kids right now are connected online very early and longer than ever. We have toys that are connecting them to the interwebs, that are collecting the data, whether it's voice, whether it's visual, um, movements. We have, smart home devices, speakers. Not sure if folks have seen on the news over the last couple of years, but things like the Nest, the Roomba, baby monitors have been used by hackers to infiltrate homes and just scare the bejesus out of folks where, they'll be talking back in these places. We also have internet connected parental control apps. And those are like sideloaded with different, they're connected to the child's phones, these different devices. And it's also an avenue that folks are using to infiltrate and get connected to either the child or the child's data. And then while it is a good thing to have, we also have children's app trackers. There's a study of apps marketed to children found many use ad trackers and request location permission despite policy restrictions. So you might have this app on your phone that tracks your child, but now this information is being sold to third parties, and not only you can track your child, but whoever that data is being sold can also track your child. And we've gotten to a point that before the age of 2, before they're even able to access the internet on their own, and their brains are developed to actually use this, 92% of toddlers, they already have an online presence. And this is just, family and friends uploading photos, sharing prenatals, and all this like videos of these toddlers, of these children. And they're cute, they're adorable. But we're seeing that because of this increase of data, uh, the child's footprint is now growing. And on top of this, folks are using this for very malicious and gross reasons. So some news that have come out to kind of alert you on what is happening. So Reebok, I'm not sure if folks have heard of Reebok, but there is a large conversation around this where there are groups in there that are trying to trap children and take them and kidnap them essentially and put them into trafficking. Um, we can talk about digital safety, and it sounds theoretical. It's just really not. Every week, there are real families, real children, and real headlines just showing what is happening online for these platforms that are failing families and kids. So, just this year, we had states, including Kentucky and Louisiana, they sued Reebok for failing to protect children from predators and unsafe interactions. Um, it's not just isolated. Lawmakers are calling it a digital playground for predators. And it just shows that even kids and platforms, they just become in a risk zones for safety. That's not even being prioritized. A very popular communication platform, Discord, they did an ID verification so that they can confirm folks were of age and be a part of it. But they had a major breach where 70,000 users' IDs were exposed through third-party verification tools. This means that even apps your teams are using for gaming or studying groups, they're leaking their real names, their birth dates, their documents, making it easier for people to track them. They have found that the FBI recently discovered an online group called 764, and it's discussing disturbing community that is grooming kids on chat platforms and coherenting them into self-harm. Some of the victims were influenced by these streamers and these hacker style influencers, just like glorifying this behavior. There's a TV show, I think it's on Netflix, called Teenage Hacker. And the first episode, he this is more based in Europe, but the teenage hacker was bullying and influencing and coercing these kids. That one of the kids, which is kind of what led to the investigation and the manhunt of him, he um, influence the kid to end his life. So the kids are not just scrolling through this, they're being shaped and manipulated by the content they're consuming. And then unfortunately, because of the amount of information, these digital footprints, there is a rise in online children exploitation. So the National Center for Missing Children, they're starting to get that wake-up call. They have reports of online child sexual exploits that have just skyrocketed. And, just every click, every upload, every online chat could be used more information, could be exposed to more information than you think. And unfortunately, these aren't isolated tragedies. Like, I can only fit so much on the screen, but they're proof that the digital world we hand to our kids every day can become dangerous in seconds. We're going to see what this looked like. So, growing up, I, I was always told, don't get in cars with strangers. But now we have Uber. And then it was like, don't accept candies from strangers. But now we have DoorDash, and then don't talk to strangers on the street. But now most of us work at home, that it's really hard not to talk to people on the street. We have become a more isolated society. But in the chat, I'd love to know what safety warnings your parents told you growing up. And it's just unfortunate because the platforms have changed, the predators haven't. And we've moved from dangers on the sidewalks, on the streets, to now our cell phones, our gaming servers, our desktops. Now we're telling kids, don't click on unknown links, don't share personal details, don't join these private chats. Careful with who you talk to online. Um, when there's really more to that. I think there's also another TV show on one of these streaming apps. There's too many streaming apps nowadays, honestly. But they have cops that go undercover. The parents are aware of it, and they go to the park and they pretend to be somebody dangerous, but they'll come up to the kid like, "Oh, I have puppies or I have candy," and they'll like have the kids follow them. And a good portion of the kids end up following them. And when they ask them later, they're like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, he just seemed nice. He didn't seem like dangerous." And the parents like, "Well, we told you so many times, don't go in a car with strangers. Don't like." So these tactics, like people are maneuvering around the common tactics to try to manipulate the kids to get them to do what they need to do. So now let's talk about determining your family's digital threat level. And we've broken this down into 5 tiers, starting off with the one that has the highest risk. You have your celebrities or your high profile parents. These could be parents that are in very publicly eyes seats, like in their government, they're in the executive branch, they work for the president, they might be these very high profile parents. Could be like the CEOs of these major tech companies. At that point, they're more celebrities than just corporate executives. Their risk is a little bit higher than everyone else because of how much information is constantly exposed to them. They're being followed by paparazzis. Um, any little thing they do is constantly being messaged and shared. As you go down the triangle, we have celebrity or influencer kids. So the parents could be, everyday individuals, but the kids might have a streaming channel. They might themselves be a celebrity in that kid space. And that is a different risk and different threats than our high celebrity parents. So as we move down, we go into our corporate executives, our public figures. They're not as seen or known as the high profile parents, but these could be your C-level executives at these major companies. They could be folks that do public speaking on major topics and major things that they have this like influencer kind of perspective in the social world, but they're more focused on their particular uh, avenue or their industry. Then we have our tech savvy teams, and these are the parents, the everyday parents that they might just be using they might just not use the computer. This is like for me would have been me back in the day. My parents never touched the computer. They made me do everything, and I came with my own threats. because I was in there in the deep dark web talking to who knows what, doing, we won't say, but I was in the deep web, right? So it was like, well, I wasn't an influencer, I wasn't a celebrity. I was poking around areas that I shouldn't. My parents didn't really know or understand. And then there's the everyday family, those that just use their devices for social media, they're watching TV. Um, we don't have any streamers, we don't have any influencers, we don't have any celebrities. They're just everyday family with digital devices, maybe a smart, maybe their house is configured as a smart house with a bunch of technology. So these are the different threat levels. And let's understand a little bit about the different risks, right? So going into that high profile individual, these, like I said, were like our celebrities, our influencers, our public figures. We have a lot of impersonation. We have exploited content, doxing, paparazzi leaks. So these are the cases in which, a few years ago, we had celebrities that they were creating indecent content out of the celebrities' photos, right? And they were using that and spreading it, saying that it was them, but it wasn't. They were just using AI to create it. These are the ones that they're taking the content that's online, tweaking it, using their words, and making these videos and sending it back to, let's say, their social media and whatnot. We can see that a lot with the presidency that, nowadays we're looking at videos. We don't know which is real, which is not. Our executives, they're very targeted scams. There's huge amount of news out there right now where they'll be taking the executives' information and sending out these scams to their employees, saying like, "Hey, I want you to create these gift cards. Um, I want you to send this." They might blackmail the executives. They might search for the kids' information and then blackmail the executives. Yeah, so they might also have impersonation risk. They'll have location exposures, just like every other person, but they're more targeted for these type of risks. And the everyday family, we're just oversharing. We might post pictures of our house, the kids' school, the kids' volleyball team. We're so busy with our day to day that a lot of our devices may even just be weak. Like we haven't been doing our updates, we haven't confirmed. Everything's expensive now, so we might have a phone from many years ago that no longer gets the security updates and security um, controls that need to prevent it. And as our families, we sometimes have blended families. So as that increases, uh, as that happens, let's say a child may have two sets of parents. There's an increased risk of the information now being shared because one parent might be more of like, hey, let's protect the personal kids' like digital privacy, their footprint, while the other one's like, I don't really care. Here, let me post this off. Right there, that has its own risk associated with it. So let's go into how do we protect our kids from these online predators. I was talking to a colleague of mine a few weeks ago at a conference, and he mentioned that he loves to play the games with his kids. And he does this because not only does he get to understand about the game, so that when they're talking to them about it during dinner, they understand it, but they can sit there and start talking about those red flags, those boundaries, those, hey, did you notice that um user, XYZ was saying this and this and this? And they would be like, yeah, I noticed. He's like, well, that's grooming. Well, they're trying to entice you. It helps you identify and show the kids like these are the common tactics. Like they're trying to groom you, they're manipulating you. This is a fake account. And it's easier for you to be there in person, allow the child to see it and then point it out than if like you're talking to them at dinner, you might not understand the game, you might not be understanding what happens. So that kind of punches on 1, 2, and 5. On top of that, look at the review settings and see what you can put for those games, those apps, and chats. See if there's any parental controls or monitoring communications that you could put for those games and apps to help you really understand what's happening. I know a few games are increasing their parental controls and monitoring the communication for individuals under a certain age. And then it's fun to play the games with the kids. You start bonding with them, you start understanding the game. So these are just some tips for protecting. And then start talking about digital footprint. So this could be a family conversation. Um, what's public, what's private? Every family should have that conversation and have that baseline of what is public and what is private. So think of like if it shows your school, your name, your date of birth, your address, your schedule, if you can tell and say, don't share it. Essentially create the rules for your family on what should or should not be shared digitally. Then talk about digital permanence. There is this like myth that folks believe that, not everything on the internet is there forever. It is there forever. It's always going to be found. Like MySpace has been around for years, and whatever happened on MySpace is still there, even though that platform isn't as popular or used. So everything you share online stays there forever, no matter what. And your kids should understand this. So having that conversation to let them know, like, hey, even if you do send that photo to somebody, um, it could come back, or they could take that and manipulate it with today's day and age tools into something you might not even like, or you might not ask or want to be out there. The other thing is empower your kids to ask before sharing a friend's photos. We live in a world where it takes seconds to share something online, and some kids or people or parents, they just don't want their presence online. So always ask for consent and respect those that just don't want their presence online. They may actually have a good reason, like that kid's parents might be high profile and they're just like, no, don't put me online because it's going to protect me and my family. And then pause before you post. I recently got back my wedding photos and I'm just like, I want to post these all. And I'm like, okay, I got to take a pause, make sure there's nothing there that I want private or which ones I want to be private. Make sure to blur out people, kids, personal information, anything like that before you share it on social. And don't do it in the app. Go onto your phone settings, do the blur, um, change it, add the um, what does the people do? The sunglasses on the kids or the smiley face um, emoji on the kid's face. Do it before you do it on the app because the app downloads the initial image. And if the app is exposed, the initial image is also exposed. Those applications are also training their AI and their internal systems on the images you upload, not the images you edit. So if you can go ahead and make your modifications before you upload, this is going to help with your digital footprint. And on our YouTube channel, we do have a video on um, the information that when you upload a picture, what information you're sharing. And you can share like your phone make and model, it will share your location. It shares a lot of information about you that you may not even realize. So those are some tips and tricks, things to talk about when it comes to digital footprint and your family. So I want to shift gears and talk about US policies. While technology is evolving so quickly, the laws, they just move so slowly. And it's a huge part of our problem. In the US, there really isn't much that exists when it comes to protecting kids online. And there's so much gaps. We have COPPA, so Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. It was created back in 1998 before iPhones, TikToks, YouTube even existed. But it does require websites and apps to get parental consent before collecting data from children under the age of 13. However, there's a catch, there's a loophole, which is common in many platforms. The platform they just might simply avoid compliance and just say their app isn't for kids, even though their main audience is for kids. So it is important, this regulation, but it's so outdated. The digital world has expanded and evolved, and there's so many loopholes that I mean, I've done it myself where you go sign in and it's like, are you over the age of 13? Are you over the age of 18? Are you over the age of 21? And at that time I wasn't. And I was like, yeah, sure. Click yes. And they did no verification. So if I click no, I couldn't get to what I needed. But if I click yes, I got to what I needed. Nobody was checking, nobody was mad. So there's still loopholes when it comes to this regulation. The next one is the FERPA, Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. This is focused on school records, but this doesn't cover the third-party educational apps. The issue with this is that they'll go ahead and schools will work with these third-party applications and feed them the data. So while the school is protecting the kids' data, these applications are still consuming the data and selling them off, or doing whatever they're doing with the data. So once again, there's still loopholes around this. And then other states and some proposed acts, we have the Kids Online Safety Act, KOSA, KOSA. It's kind of like the most talked about proposal right now. It will require platforms to protect minors from harmful content and give parents tools to limit addictive features. Critics, they're worried that it's going to be overreach into censorship or parental surveillance. But it just shows, this particular act just shows how complex it is to have that balance with protection versus privacy. It's like, how much are we going to impose surveillance on the kids or censorship on the kids when there could be opportunities to do other things? California is also doing their CCPA, and there's similar acts and protections that are underway. The limitation with these is it varies by location. It varies by how these policies are written and these laws are written. Outside of the US, the UK has two, the Age Appropriate Design Code and the Online Safety Act. The EU has its own GDPR. Australia has eSafe Commissioner, and then Canada has Digital Charter. These are various child privacy laws that are across the globe. There may be more, but these are just some of the ones we wanted to highlight. So some top practical tips. Get a family digital safety checklist. This outlines the rules for your family. The kids aren't the only ones that should be doing this. The family should do that. And you can decide as a family or as a parent how extreme or how lenient you want to be. Whether you want to fully create an education kind of model for your family, or if you want to create a complete restricted sense of it. It's up to you as a family to decide. Go ahead and set up parental controls. This way you can set time limits and manage access to these apps. Educate them on not just in-person stranger danger, but online strangers. This will teach your kids to never share personal information, who they talk to online, and giving them a clear eye on like how people are manipulating them, grooming them, and such. We also have monitor these online activities, check the apps and these websites that kids use, whether it's a third-party tool that you use to check, or the website or the application may have a parental monitoring piece for you. And then just on the more physical side, always check your kids' belonging and backpacks for any unknown tags. In the online resource page, we have several apps that you can use to see if you find an unknown AirTag for iPhone or Android. And our last piece of information is just our digital safety framework. So identify your family's risks, educate your children and yourself on these threats. Every month they're different. Every month they're increasing. So keep that education flowing. It could be a conversation you have with your kids on a regular. Empower through these tools and conversations, and then monitor with respect and consistency. And then for those that weren't able to see it at first, there is the online safety resources. Section 5 has information that we shared today. It also has numbers in the event something happens and you need to reach higher agencies and authorities. Your kid goes missing, your kid's getting exploited. Those are some additional resources protecting them from online predators. And with that, I'll open up to Q&A. Sure. So we had some pre-screen questions come in from folks that had participated, who signed up and could not make it. I have one in the chat. Thank you, Izzy. Where do you see educators playing a role in this? I know you mentioned that schools do protect kids. I think that's a great point. There should be, I know there's movements to bring in more digital safety programs into educators, but understanding this framework and the threat assessment is also beneficial for educators. It could be something potentially we spin out to actually assist with educators to understand and review it. The educators are the ones, the education program are the ones that are signing up for these third-party programs, applications that are injecting student data. So working with them will be beneficial, and giving that education to them will be beneficial in reducing that threat. So you can only reach to so many schools, but as a parent or somebody that's very passionate about this, it could be an opportunity for you to have those conversations with your child's school, understand what information they're collecting, what information they're sharing with these third-party schools. Take a question. One curated question is, what's one red flag parents should look for right now? And with that, there's many apps, there's many games out there that kids are participating at, right? So getting with your kid and figuring out what they're using, what platform, we'll start that question. That will start answering that question, so we can get a clear picture on what apps you're using, where they're going, because each one's different. Once you get there, you can do a little bit more research on each one. Use your favorite AI to understand what data is being sold, and then use your favorite search engine to find clear ways that tactics predators are using in those platforms. And this way, you and your child can do the research and understand those different steps. Could you recommend user-friendly and trusted platforms for parents to monitor? Yes. Let me finish the question. Could you recommend user-friendly and trusted platforms for parents to monitor their children's location and manage their smart devices? I did that for the big cord, and let me pull up. Give me 1 second as I pull up the safety resource. Share this in. And then we did this. I just do this one though. So this is if you go to the site to download, here are some apps that we recommend. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me take it here. So for parental controls, we have Bark. I don't know how to pronounce that. Cruise Studio, NetNet, and Nanny. Online safety for kids, education. You have KidSmart, Internet Matters, and then to detect air tags, you have Apple's Find My app, and then Threat Detector for Android. I'm not sure of the extents. We'll definitely do an upcoming webinar where we dive a little bit further into these, and maybe any other programs that come in. But these were the ones that were curated a few months ago for this particular resources. And then apps we say is Discord, Snapchat, Reebok, and Fortnite. And then for recording purposes, if you need help or need a report, You have the National Center for Missing Children Are Exploited. You have FBI Internet Crime Complaint, National Child Harassment Hotline, the U.S. Department of Justice Child Exploitation and uh, obscenity section, and then your own local, state, and law enforcement. Educational resources for parents. You have NetSmarts and Stop It Now. These are two organizations helping prevent child sexual abuse and other resources for that. And then we get you the link. And the resource. PDF is available on www.lionnessinstincts.com/online-safety-resources. You're welcome. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm happy to stay behind for anything else. But thank you everybody so much for attending. We do have our next webinar next week, same time at 4 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be talking about holiday safety guide.